What is good, everybody? Man, welcome in to the Bluebloods, official podcast of FCS Football Central on SI. Your host, Zach McKinnell, as always, man, joined by my guy, Leroy Frederick, man, preparing for a big one this weekend. Headed, I guess that'd be over to Jackson for the Soul Bowl, or I guess it'd be the Capital City Classic since it's in Jackson. I don't listen. Maybe because I'm not from the SWAC, coach, but I'm always going to lean Soul Bowl over Capital City Classic. Soul Bowl sounds right for this game. I don't love the Capital City Classic.
Yeah, it just has a better ring to it. You know what I mean?
Y'all need a trophy. I've said it for multiple
Yeah,
years. Y'all need a Soul Bowl
yeah.
trophy.
You have. We definitely need to create that for real.
I don't know what it would look like though, but like that, I don't know because I think about this weekend, right? Like the Montana State games this weekend. Coach, do you know how big the trophy is for that game?
No, how big is that?
It weighs 400 pounds.
Well, we don't need one that big, but
Like they have to have the offensive linemen carrying it like on their shoulders after the game because it's so heavy.
man, look here. Maybe not that big, but I got a few ideas. The what's the music symbol? Um, Maybe the state of Mississippi music symbol put in there somewhere. Uh, I'm
Everyone's saying
sure.
they said Scotty and McDonald said that they needed like a trophy with an afro and a pick in it.
maybe not that so boldish, but something down that line, no doubt.
Oh man, so coach, man, we got a bunch to talk about today. I know you got a meeting coming up. I got a show later today. Just to let the people know, I'll be back tonight. Make sure to head over to Scotty's platform, off script, myself, Zoe, Mr.
Scotty!
Campbell, Scotty, and we're gonna be breaking down on the different roster constructions across the FCS, man. So is it good to go heavy in the transfer portal? Is it JUCO? Is it building your foundation from high school recruits? We're going to break down real numbers from actual rosters and look at what the championship teams are doing versus everyone else. So, coach, it came from James Colsey telling I think it was the whatever was it the 220 club down there at FAM
Yeah.
that the way to win the SWAC is to live in the transfer portal, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, which kind of brought that show on. I see your reaction. I'm not going to put you on the spot because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about, but we're going to kind of debunk that myth tonight because some of the data is shocking. I'll say this: I excluded this team, coach, but do you want to know how many transfers that 2021 South Carolina State team had?
B, you ain't got to say because I've lived that. So I know a bunch of 6-month guys. That's tough, man. That's tough.
Mm, coach, that 2021 South Carolina State team with Buddy Pugh,
Yeah.
3 transfers on the entire roster.
Yeah.
It was all high school kids. Like I just excluded them from the data set because it would skew it so much because no one does that anymore.
Well, before we move on, I would ask my guy. I'm sure he's listening or he'll be listening. Let me pull the comments up so I can see him. I'd ask our guy Super Campbell how many of those guys are on that fam roster right now. Uh, yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. And people thought Willie lived out of the portal. That
There was
team
a
had a
team,
but that team had a bunch of high school players on it. That won the Celebration Bowl,
right?
ton of high school players.
But you think? Trying to think which team was that? A&M a couple years ago. You remember they had guys from
They brought in
Michigan,
like 70 transfers or something crazy like that.
and I think they won 4 games or something like that. But as my boy JB would say, what do I know?
Just saying. Well, coach, let's go here. Obviously, you guys are probably the SWAC game of the week this week, and it's obviously the Soul Bowl. We just talked about it. It's a huge game, man. Jackson needs this one to clinch their spot in the SWAC championship. I know you guys, and I know you aren't going to come on here and talk crazy, but I know you and Seth would love, and them Alcorn fans would love to keep Jackson out of the SWAC championship, be a perfect end to the season. But if Bama State wins, which they should, I think that when they play Valley this weekend or UAPB, something like that. So
I think they got
they're gonna,
UAPB.
yeah, they're
Valley
gonna
has
win.
Valley has Prairie View, which is already
Yeah.
clinched.
So Prairie View's already there. Jackson needs to win to go to the SWAC championship. Bama State needs a Jackson loss and a win this weekend to clinch their spot in the championship game. Coach, man, how you feeling? A little win streak going on here? You guys feeling good? Was it 4 in a row now?
Well, yeah, we've hit a stride, no doubt about that. But B man, you can be 0-10, you can be 10-0, and it don't matter when you come to these rivalry games. And it's one of those things where you got to show up, you got to handle your emotions. The crowd's gonna be going crazy. We've been preaching that since Sunday to our kids about making sure we're ready to handle that. But it's gonna be exciting atmosphere. It's so much to play for outside of the ramifications for the team up the street. But the pride, they had 364 days to celebrate what they did last year. Now we have a chance to erase that and get our 365 days to celebrate it right back.
Yeah. Now I'm excited for the game. Now, obviously, I'm interested in the quarterback situation for Jackson this weekend, but also too, I think regardless of who starts at quarterback, and me and you have talked about this, bro, TC in this offense is going to be run first. It's going to be Travis Terrell. It's going to be Ahmad Miller. It's going to be Davenport, and they're going to try to run the football. And they've done that the past few weeks, right? I mean, I think Lockhart, what he threw the ball a little bit more at Valley, but man, they haven't really asked him to do a ton offensively. And why would you, right? When you have a running back stable like that, and you have an offensive line like they have, not running the football would be criminal. And when you have a three-headed monster like that, you run the football. So I think that's going to be the key to the game. Can Alcorn stop the run, and can Jackson establish the run? Because I don't think either team, even though both of you guys have faith in y'all's quarterbacks to a point, I don't think either one of you guys want your quarterbacks to go back there and throw it 40 times. So it's going to be who can establish the run and who can stop the run this weekend.
And I think Coach Taylor should definitely try to throw it 40 times, maybe 50, and see if they can get that on track and kind of go from there. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting game, and it's so many similarities between the two as far as styles, uh, the people that cross over from one program to another. So it's going to be an exciting game, man. 2:30 is going to be a heck of a kickoff. It's senior day up there. Man, it gives you little chills, just thinking about it right now here on Wednesday. The atmosphere that's expected, when we show up there in Jackson.
Flipping it to the MEAC real quick, man, to kind of keep this going a little bit fast paced. We have pretty much the MEAC championship. Everyone wants a MEAC championship game. We have that this weekend, Coach. Delaware State, South Carolina State. Winner goes to the Celebration Bowl. Everyone else is eliminated. There's nothing to play for the loser. There's no FCS playoffs on the line. There's no consolation prize. The winner gets to go to Atlanta. The loser season is over. Man, I don't think people. We'll start here. We've talked about Deshaun Jackson, how much credit he deserves for what he's done. I mean, this would be like taking over Valley and having them play for the SWAC championship this weekend, Coach. That's the direct comparison here. But I want to flip it over, man. Chinnis Berry and his staff. Me and you got a great relationship with Coach O on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Williams as the OC has also been around the SWAC a ton. Coach, they returned like the least amount of starters in the conference coming into the year. On that defensive side lost a ton of significant contributors at edge, at linebacker, at safety. For what Chinnis Berry and his staff did, Coach, for them still to be they have not lost a conference game, Coach, in 4 years as a staff, going back to his Benedict days. What a hell of a coaching job, man, and what he's done to have this team in this position. Because I know Deshaun's going to get all the credit, and he should, because it's Delaware State. But this South Carolina State team was supposed to be a rebuild, and they're about to go play for a championship.
Oh, ain't no doubt. And then, they lost the biggest piece. You can go back and run our show at the beginning. I thought last year's success was to, the people that came with him, the players that came with him. Phoenix, anytime you have a quarterback that knows your system, that can run your system, people that are around it and believe in that guy, push a step ahead. And you lose him and you don't miss a beat. That speaks to the job that those guys have done over there. And then, you flip it, Delaware State. You can say what you want to say. No one took them serious. No one seen them coming. But at some point in that game, you had to take them serious, and all they've done is just won game after game after game. I'd be the first to say that I was not on that hill. I did not see it coming. I can be the bigger person and say that I am tipping my hat to him because I just didn't see it happening there. I didn't know how he would get those guys from the West Coast to come and play up there and be effective. And all they've done is just be effective. But when you have that bell cow like they have, it's easy to just turn around and say, "Hey, man, get us out of this." And that kid has done that. And then the QB's position has been really steady for them as well. So this was going to be interesting to watch because the new kids on the block now versus an established program. You keep thinking that the atmosphere is going to get too big for them. Because I'll be the first to say, Blue, I didn't see them going in there on homecoming and pulling that win off versus
Over Central.
yeah, I didn't see that, just because. And they did it, and it was one of those deals where, okay, surely when they get to Coach Scott's fighting guys, that it would, and it just, they did it. So again, does the real Delaware State show up, or is this the real Delaware State?
Man, I'll be curious to see if the fans in Dover really show up for this game, man, because Coach, the one team in the MEAC that travels a lot, South Carolina State, man, if they get outnumbered in their own stadium on championship weekend,
How far drive
man,
is that?
from Dover to Orangeburg, I have no idea.
That's got to
Someone
be
in
a
the
nice little.
chat tell it has to be a mean drive, right?
That's got to be a nice little track. That's got to be a nice little track.
That's at least 6 hours, 6+ hours, got to be, unless unless I'm missing something. That's got to be a mean drive. But I'll say this, man, I don't. Coach, and I said it on HBCU Nightly earlier this week. My football mind and X's and O's is telling me South Carolina State should win this one handily. But I also thought that was Central.
Definitely.
And I thought that was some other games this year. And because this, and there's just sometimes when teams get hot, there's just
Nope.
nothing you can do. And something tells me, man, this is one of those years for Delaware State, man. So I went with Delaware State in this one. And
Ooh.
even though everything in my gut is telling me South Carolina State's going to win this game, I just something is telling me that Delaware State's going to find a way to get it done at home. Because you look at some of their wins this year, even when they haven't played well, it's been a fumble, it's been a turnover, it's been an explosive run, it's been a missed field goal. They've just had everything fall in line during this run, going undefeated in MEAC play. And something tells me that at home, they're going to find a way to win this game. And the one thing you can't teach, Coach, I wish I could be in both locker rooms. Both these guys are going to have their teams ready to play. We know Chinnis with that Southern Baptist preacher pregame speech, like his guys are going to be ready to run through a wall. But, Coach, I don't know if I've seen a team play harder for a first-year head coach than
Oh
what
man.
Delaware State plays for Deshaun Jackson, man. They are locked into him.
And I'm trying to find the line. That's what I'm looking down, but I can't find the line. I know you have those super line deals. I'd be interesting to see. I'd be interested in seeing who's favored in this one. Both 8-3. Do they normally, they normally would give that to the home team. But because
Let's
of the
see.
history, because of what's going on, will that still hold true? Or will, South Carolina State be favored in this one here?
They're favored. South Carolina State right now, 5.5-point favorites over Dell State.
So you taking Dell in the points, eh?
Yeah, the upset pick of the week, I guess.
You taking
Something
the
just
points,
tells
or
me, man.
you gonna take them straight up money
Oh no,
line?
I'm taking them straight up. I'm taking them to win the game at home. They're going to be in the
Okay.
Celebration Bowl this year. I can't believe I'm saying it. And I'll say this: the thing with South Carolina State is it's been a kind of a tale of two seasons. I think you saw early in the season, Coach, a lot of that new talent had to gel. They had to figure out who was going to
Yes.
be QB1. They had to
Yes.
figure out who was going to be the guy off the edge. Mike Lunds emerges as the top edge rusher. You got Willie Atkins, the James Madison transfer, that emerges as the number one quarterback. It goes to one thing I love that they've been able to do. They lead the MEAC in conference play in passing offense, but they have not abandoned the run.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
so hard to do, man, especially when you're throwing for 300 yards a game. It's just
But that
real
guy.
easy to be like, man, we're throwing around the yard, man. Call it again. Put
But
it in the
that
air
guy.
again.
That guy that they're handing the ball to, man, is
As a dog.
he just finds a way. You think you have him bottled, one guy, two guys, and then now you're in a foot race trying to catch that kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them deals, man, where I think it's going to be a really, really interesting game early. And if Dale State can handle early, you might be right. But if it gets to one of those things where before halftime you look up and Coach Barry's got those guys up by 14, it could probably spell trouble for Dale State magical season. You know what I mean?
You can't get down if you're Dell State. Your whole offense depends on you running the football. If
Right.
you get down 14 nothing,
Takes that away.
17 nothing, man,
Takes
it
that
gets
away.
hard. And we saw South Carolina State, man. They start fast. They are a first quarter. Like, man, that onside kick from Chinnis Berry last week against Central,
Man, look here.
man,
Tell me about it.
that took some nerve right there, man.
I don't even know
That
if you
is
do
some
that on a video
confidence.
game. Right. I don't even know if you do that on a video game.
Just insane, man. So it's coach. We'll see what happens this weekend, but the odds are saying it's Jackson PV in the SWAC championship. The winner of that goes on to face Dell State or South Carolina State. Which matchup do you want to see the most? Just as a viewer, take yourself out of the guy in the collared shirt on the other sideline. If you're just a HBCU fan, what's the matchup you would want to see most in Atlanta?
I would want to see South Carolina State um, versus Alabama State, just because of Alabama State really feels like they are those people. You know what I mean? And we know Coach Barry, we know Coach O'Daffer, we know that they're going to want to prove something. And I think that one would be, I think that would be something new, something fresh for that bowl game, so to speak. Uh, but again, if it's the school up the street, I definitely want to see that rematch with South Carolina State.
I'll be curious for that one, just because Eric Phoenix was good, right? But I think Atkins at quarterback brings a different dynamic than Phoenix did last year. Plus, I want to say he got banged up in that game too. And so Jackson just, man, that I don't think South Carolina State and Chinnis really knew what they needed on the line of scrimmage to compete with Jackson.
No, and I think you know again, if you remember that game early on, I don't think they were really ready for the physical part that those people up the street brought to that game. And by the time they realized, it was just too late. You know what I mean? And you can't have those mistakes. You can't have those three and outs, three and outs, three and outs. Versus a team that was really, really good last year. And then you factor in the kicking game that Jags had was unbelievable as well. I don't think they knew exactly who they were going up against last year, to be honest.
There's still just a little part of me, man, that God, could you imagine Deshaun Jackson in Atlanta with Dell State? Just a storyline of that program being there, right?
Yep,
Combined with all the fans Jackson are gonna bring to Atlanta,
yep, yeah.
that would it would be electric. Now, listen, I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be a mismatch in the stands if we're talking
Oh, no
bands and
doubt,
fans. Like,
no doubt, no
it's
doubt,
going to be like playing in the vet if that's the case.
no doubt, no doubt. Be a whole
Because
lot of blue in there. Ain't no doubt.
Dell State ain't bringing many people to Atlanta compared to Jackson. It is going to be a mismatch there. But I just think stylistically the matchup would be more interesting. But the one thing I am a little bit concerned about is, man, I don't know if Dell State, the one thing Jackson does super well is stop the run. Man, could Caden Bennett go into the dome and throw for 300?
That'd be
I
nice.
think,
That'd be interesting to watch, though. You know what I mean? That would
yeah,
really be interesting to
I
watch.
think on the field, give me South Carolina State Jackson. If like the choices are PV, Jackson, or one of the other two MEAC teams. But if you're talking storylines in terms of media, off the field stuff, give me Dell State Jackson. I think that's a much more interesting storyline. But like Ed said, I don't think football wise, Dell State matches up with Jackson whatsoever. Like that looks like that could be a blowout if Dell State can't keep it close.
I go that on football side, and then I throw the question back to you. When we're talking just Celebration Bowl. We're talking viewership. We're talking ticket sales. Uh, Dell State versus anybody, I think, would be something that would really help the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, you add in Jacks because they travel probably a little bit better than Bama State does. For the life of the game, for the just the healthiness of the look, the viewership, the ticket sales, the hoopla, the media. I think that's the better matchup for sure. And before we move on, I want to make sure that I give my shout out to Coach Jackson, first year coach. Showed everybody you don't need 87 years of coaching experience to get it done. You just need to have the desire and a few players to get it done. And that's what he did. As a first year
Yeah.
guy, um, I was one of the ones who was kind of questioning where would his heart be in that? Would it be like a Coach Vic situation there at Norfolk? But he didn't. All he did was keep his guys from week to week focused on what was going on. I think the scheduling, and this is a whole nother show, but I think the scheduling allowed them to gain confidence in what he was preaching to the point to where they're kind of like, now if coach says go right, we need to go right because we've been going right all year and it's worked. If coach says go left, we need to go left because he said that and we've done it and it's worked all year. So whoever did that scheduling in the beginning to get him off to a great start, man, hats off to y'all as well. But hats off to coach, man, for keeping it in the middle of the road, keeping those kids grounded, and keeping them moving forward.
That's a fact, man. Well, we're gonna skip the Marshall Faulk topic for now, Coach. I know we only got about 10 minutes before you got to get out of here for sure. Um, then we'll come back to that
We can
because we'll
touch it.
go live
We can touch it.
after
It's
this.
cool.
Okay, touch it.
We can touch it.
Marshall Faulk, Scotty broke the news yesterday. It's been further
Scotty.
confirmed by other news outlets now, but Marshall Faulk, apparently leading candidate, has been in talks about the Southern head coaching job. Coach, your initial thoughts here. Currently serving as the running back coach of Colorado, never been a head coach before. Is this the right move for Southern, in your opinion?
I see why they would, but Gold Jacket, Marshall Faulk, yes, he's a Louisiana guy, but monetarily, I don't know how they make this work. Unless he's willing to be a regular coach in the swag, so to speak. You know what I mean? Just because I don't see him coming for 200, 225. I don't see that because I'm sure he's making that at CU.
Yeah.
Again, he's another first year guy. So I definitely, I wouldn't balk at that part. But again, how has, the money situation for them over the last 3? And I know everybody's gonna come at me and be like, oh yeah, SU's got money. I get it. Just because you have money don't mean you want to keep giving away money. You know what I mean? So that to me puts me in the mold, in the mindset of saying, I get it. It's good for press, steal some headlines, become relevant, so to speak. But realistically, I don't know, B.
Supposedly, they are going to be paying him like 400K, I believe was the report.
Yeesh.
He'd be the highest paid coach in the FCS.
But if he's making 400, right? That means his coordinators have got to make at least two. Who's got that money?
Minimum, 150 minimum.
Who's got that money? You know what I mean? If he's
You're
making
talking about
four
$1 million staff if you're putting the coach
million
at
dollar staff,
400.
$1 million staff, and then if that happens, who's he bringing with him? Those guys don't tend to just come for $50,000. Warren Sapp ain't coming with him for $50,000.
No.
Let's just make that let's make that clear. Anybody else that has the pro pedigree that he has that he would want to bring with him ain't coming for $50,000, $60,000. They're not doing it. I just don't see that.
It's just a lot of money, man, for a guy who hasn't done anything.
I get it.
I mean, because here's the thing: is it his fault Colorado's rushing attack is terrible?
He's a part of it.
Maybe not,
He's a
but
part of it.
that's his room. That's his room, and they rank 15th in the Big 12 in rushing offense right now.
It's part of it.
Is there anybody in that running back room that really impresses you? No, not really. So he's only been there for a year, so it's not really his guys. I guess you can give him that out, but I
But
mean,
but as we were talking the other day, he was a part of that recruiting process. So you can't fully excuse him for that. And again, Dion is the only former pro athlete, and correct me if I'm wrong, man. He's the only former pro athlete I think that can generate that type of uh, excitement, for lack of a better way to put it, in the recruiting aspect to get guys to come there.
yeah.
I don't know if Marshall Faulk could have gotten a James Houston to come there just because, but I know um, Dion did that, with multiple kids, so to speak. I don't know if Marshall can get a kid to decommit from FSU to come to Southern. I don't know if he can do
Well,
that.
here's the question, because I want to take Prime out of the conversation because he's different. He's a different guy. Is Marshall Faulk a bigger name than Deshaun Jackson to the youth nowadays?
No,
Is he a bigger name than Michael Vick?
no,
Is he a bigger name to these kids than Eddie George? No,
probably about on the same.
maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he would be probably the least notable celebrity hire that we've had.
No doubt, no doubt.
Here's the thing with Eddie, right? Look at the staff that Eddie put around him, Brandon Fisher and all those guys. That staff was massive. And no, Terrell Buckley is not a celebrity hire, but I don't
No,
care if let me say this: just because you played in the NFL doesn't mean you're a celebrity hire. You
no,
have to be a
Terrell.
celebrity.
Yeah, and Terrell had coaching experience behind him. Mississippi State,
Yes.
Florida State, where he's actually coaching in room. So I take him out of that as well. And even if you want to put him in there, I think his name is probably bigger than Coach Falks. And that's just me. Say I'm biased, Florida State, whatever, whatever.
Maybe in Mississippi, right, too, especially, like, where he's from, and
Oh,
that
definitely, definitely.
I think that's Carlton's point is maybe Marshall Faulk in Louisiana has some pull, right? But then I've heard some
But
stuff.
I don't know though, B, because it's all about being relevant. And again, I don't know his every move within Louisiana, but again, I would let me throw this name out there, and everybody's gonna chuckle and laugh. But since we were doing the comparison game, is his name bigger than Ed Reed's?
No, definitely not.
And they're both from Louisiana.
Listen,
And
but
they're both
Ed
from
Reed,
Louisiana. That was my point. They're
yeah,
both from Louisiana.
but also too, Ed Reed did it to himself.
Oh, no,
Ed Reed is the reason that Ed Reed isn't a head coach.
ain't no doubt.
And during the interview, Willie Simmons said he talked to Ed Reed on Scotty Show. You go watch it. He said, "Ed, you can't call people out in the public." And then he took the job and went on Instagram Live and went insane. So Ed's at fault for Ed not being a head coach right now. But no, I don't think Ed
You
Reed.
gotta admit it was good. It was good. It was good entertainment for the week that it lasted.
Yeah, for the week. I think again, it all depends on his staff. Now, I think Scotty reported that Ryan Lewis would be his DC. That would be a great hire. Ryan Lewis did his thing at Bama State. Warwick Dunn on the staff is what David Jackson said.
Work's too busy.
Warwick wouldn't take a job right now.
Not Warwick's too busy. Warwick's got a lot of stuff going on. I kind of kicked that rock with some folks around that, I know that he knows that, blah, blah, blah. Warwick is doing a lot of things, humanitarian work type stuff that keeps him moving. So I don't think, unless he just puts the brakes on, I don't think, that would be somebody that would, dive into the game. And then the other thing I think that a lot of people have got to understand, and I just know the facilities that I've seen from SU, uh, a lot of these guys are expecting a lot more than what they're getting, or what they're thinking they're going to walk into. And sure, he's going to go there, he's going to walk, he's going to do all the tours and all that. But you can ask Coach Buckley, Yeah, it's dressed up nice until day one, and you get there, and then you realize, wait a minute, I don't even have a working ice machine in this facility. We got to go cross campus to get it. And you got to understand the lifestyle and where these guys are coming from as well. You got to put all those things in the factors. And if you're going to make that commitment, then that's fine. But you're making a 400K commitment to him, and you're going to have to ante up to whatever it is they need or want, or you're going to find yourself in an Ed Reed situation again.
I just think it all depends on the staff, man, and then it also just depends on how committed he is to the process, and also to,
Yeah.
and I know Southern fans are going to push back on me. How much patience are they going to have with him? Coach, 2 straight coaches made SWAC championships in their first year and got fired the next.
Absolutely.
So, what's the standard? Now, listen, now how you get there right matters, and I think that's what Southern fans are going to tell you. Dooley was doing stuff behind the scenes, rubbing people the wrong way, and then Terrence Graves was never going to be a long-term option. And obviously, this has been the historically bad season for Southern, so that matters in context, right?
Right.
But I hear Southern fans on other channels and in chats and stuff say, "Man, you don't have to win the SWAC next year. We'll be happy with 7, 8 wins." No, you won't. Well, why are you lying? Like, you say that now until the 7 and 8 wins don't look good, and then we're like, "Man, put them on the hot seat. Win
Not
7
those
or 8 games like
wins.
that again next year."
Yeah, not those wins. Those 3 to 4 losses. Which 3 to 4 losses are they? And
Thank you.
how they happen.
Yeah, go ahead and lose to Jackson, FAM, and the Bayou Classic and Alcorn and go 8-4
Yeah, that 8 ain't gonna
and
mean
get blown
nothing.
out.
That 8 ain't gonna mean nothing.
And then the next year go 9-3, but lose 3 of those 4 games I just named.
Yeah, it ain't gonna mean nothing.
So that's my question: is what is these, like? How long are you really going to give him to build? Are you more patient with him that he's a celebrity?
No, I think
Are
that
you?
turns it up.
That's what I'm saying. Because TC won the celebrity coach year 2, won the Celebration Bowl. 60 plus
Oh,
new players.
but that
Dion,
first year,
yeah,
that he took over for
8. What was it? 8,
Coach
7
Prime.
and 4.
Yeah, it got a little hot. Now people may not want to admit that, but I'm sure my boy Scotty could find some receipts of where people were, really not all the way in with Coach TC in that situation after taking over that team from Coach Prime and not making it. You know what I
That's kind
mean?
of what we're saying, Mr. Carey. Southern losing to Jackson gets coaches fired, especially with the lose. Because coach, what's the losing streak to Jackson and Southern right now? Is it 8 games or something like that?
I
6
think it's
games?
almost double digits. Yeah.
Whatever it is, if that keeps extending and it gets to 10 names, I mean to 10 games, 12 games, 14 games, I don't care how many other games you're winning. Someone's losing their job over that.
And I just saw a comment where they were saying the West, and we got to realize now this thing goes in cycles. Because when we were stopping through the East, everyone was saying the East was trash and the West was, so this thing goes in cycles. So next year it can be something completely different.
Can I dispel a rumor real quick? I keep hearing, like, and coach, I know you got to go, so just tell me when we got to cut it off, and we can pick this up whenever. I keep hearing people say, "Man, like Prairie View, just like they don't deserve it. Like they ain't played nobody. They haven't done this. Nobody in the SWAC has played anybody in the grand scheme of things. Can we, like,
Apparently,
y'all all, everybody played the same teams? Like, what are we
yes.
doing?"
Apparently,
Like,
uh,
they're saying like their defensive statistics don't count. Offensively, they're trash. It was like, if their stats don't count, y'all suck too. Whoever your favorite team is not good either, because y'all all played the same teams. What are we doing? And and,
and
and
it's
here's and here's what I'm saying. Do you know where Gramblin's Prairie View strength to schedule ranks right now nationally?
say it loud.
Out of 120th in the country, out of 129. Super low, right? Do you know who's behind them?
Say it
Jackson
louder.
State. Jackson State
Say it
at
louder.
121.
Uh,
Do you know who's only a few spots ahead of them? Alabama State at 113. And Coach, close your ears. I need you to couple for me. Do you know who has the worst strength of schedule in the SWAC? Alcorn State.
Huh?
127 out of 129.
Huh?
So just stop. Like the randomness of this thing, like, man, they're not that good because they haven't played anybody. If they haven't played anybody, neither has any of your favorite teams if you're in the SWAC. T-Lob's hilarious. He said, we played Lincoln and Westgate. He said, we played somebody. Oh, bro.
I appreciate that,
D-Lob is one of my favorite people that comment on the show, man. That he is hilarious.
I appreciate that, D.
But for Dave, he asked where A&T is ranked. Strength of schedule for A&T, 73rd in the country.
They're taking some shellackings too.
I'm just so, and then this will be a perfect time to wrap this up, Coach. Alabama State to the FCS playoffs. There was a ton of commentary on social media on whether Alabama State should opt out of the Turkey Day Classic and go to the FCS playoffs this year.
It's not their choice.
Please don't do that.
It's not their choice.
Look, if anybody from Bama State is listening to this show, please do not opt out of the Turkey Day Classic because you're not going to the FCS playoffs. And you are going to be sitting on the couch sad that you passed up a payday to play Tuskegee. Just play Tuskegee. And if you don't want to do the Turkey Day Classic in the future, that's fine. Do that later. But please don't trick yourself out of whatever money you're going to earn on the Turkey Day Classic to go sit at home. Please don't do it.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And I've heard a lot of Alabama State people say the Turkey Day Classic hasn't been the same in recent years and that they would rather move that game to Labor Day and make the new Tuskegee game the Labor Day Classic. Because, Coach, this is the last year, if I'm not mistaken, Tuskegee's playing in it because they want to go play in the playoffs at D2.
D2, yep.
So now that begs the question, is the Turkey Day Classic still the Turkey Day Classic if you're not playing Tuskegee? I don't know. That's for Alabama State fans to answer to themselves. And if in the future you don't play the Turkey Day Classic, then guess what? Have at it. Then you can have a conversation about the FCS playoffs. But, Coach, I just mentioned where their strength of schedule is. It's 113th. I'm scrolling through here. There is not a team that's going to be in the FCS playoffs below them. And let me go up here just real quick. I'm looking. The team that's going to be in with the closest ranked strength of schedule is 108, probably with Central Connecticut State. That's because they won their conference and got the auto bid. If you keep scrolling, Coach, and you look at the first team that's on the bubble for the playoffs with the lowest ranked strength of schedule, Harvard's at 89, but they won the Ivy. They're going to win the Ivy League this weekend, so they don't count. You keep scrolling. Tennessee Tech's at 82. If they win this weekend, they win their conference. They'll be in. Mercer at 79. They won their conference. Lafayette has a chance to win theirs this weekend. The closest at large bid is 74th in Monmouth, Coach.
There it is, black and white.
And again, please stop saying that the voters and everyone is up against Bama State because they're not top 25. You are the team that went out and scheduled Southern for an out-of-conference game. You are the program that went out and scheduled Miles for an out-of-conference game. You are the team that went out and scheduled Tuskegee for a non-conference game. That's your fault. I can't help you there. And at the end of the day, Coach, we know D2 games don't count. They're 7-2 right now, technically. Not 8-2, they're 7-2. Give me the 7-4 team out of the Missouri Valley Conference with 3 ranked wins and all 4 of their losses coming against FBS or ranked FCS teams over a 7-2 team that ain't played nobody.
Yeah, and
I can't help you.
Is down the ladder there.
Like my biggest frustration here, Coach, and we're going to end it on this is If you don't care about playing in the FCS playoff schedule how you want, that's cool. Jackson fans have been very vocal about that. We don't care. We're going to win the SWAC. Cool. Schedule like that. I have no issues. Bama State said, we about the Turkey Day Classic. We're not scheduling for the FCS playoffs. Perfect. Awesome. Do your thing. No one cares. But don't come back around in November and cry because you're not in the FCS playoffs after you spent months saying you don't want to go to the FCS playoffs because you don't make money. And so you're not going to schedule to make the FCS playoffs and then cry when you don't get in the FCS playoffs. You can't have everything. Like, you can't have it both ways. Pick one. Do you want to go to the FCS playoffs? Then schedule like it. If you don't, then schedule all the D2s.
That's it.
I'm just, man, it is so aggravating, man. And again, the SWAC championship loser cannot go to the FCS playoffs. So
Yeah, I
stop
thought we
asking.
covered that one already.
Asking. God, man, that question has been asked a million times.
I thought we covered that part already. And then, because I think we had this a couple years ago with the game between Southern and Grambling in the Bayou, because of where it's scheduled at. Again, if that's something in the future, like you said, that Bama State wants to do, you move that up a week and you play on rivalry week or whatever, you know what I mean? But again, if you're trying to make that move, then you have to be all in, period. You got to be all in.
That's all I'm asking.
That goes from top to bottom.
Just keep some consistency, right? And this is what mainly frustrates me, is that there's certain people in the space that are like, man, all these FCS fans just bullying the SWAC and saying we should play in the FCS playoff. It's like, bro, ask the average FCS fan. They wish they had the Celebration Bowl. Yes. Or they're glad their team goes and plays for a natty and they love watching the Celebration Bowl. The problem is, like, this weird FCS playoff Celebration Bowl debate is almost exclusively started by fans of an HBCU program that is not winning their conference. And they're like, I want Jackson to go prove it. It's like, well, why don't your team go prove it? Why don't you win some games and you go prove it?
Schedule those folks during the regular season. Because at the end of the day, let's just be honest. If Bama State, let's say they did get invited, they're going to Montana. They're going somewhere that you and I, as regular fans, aren't going. Sure, we're going to try to catch it on television or whatever, but we're going somewhere that we probably don't want to go anyway. And then that's going to start another argument. Well, we had a better record, but, you were in that large bid. So, yeah, you got to go out to the upper Northwest or wherever and make that hike and, try to make it happen. Steve McNair, God rest his soul, took Alcorn to the playoffs, and they tell the story of how when they got there, the snow was up to the 10th row in the stands. Again, it's where the seeding is going to put you regardless. And that's just the way it is, you know what I mean?
Like, what's crazy is people think it's like that now. Coach, the first round games are seeded now. And then it's done regionally. So there's 16 seeds, right? So you have the top 8 that get a bye. The next seeds are seeded. So the second round onward is not regionalized. But let's just say Southeastern Louisiana is 16 seed. If Jackson or Bama State made the playoffs, they're probably going to play Tennessee Tech. They're probably going to play Southeastern Louisiana now because of the regionalization of the playoffs. The reason that Tennessee State had to go to Montana, they were the last team in the field, Coach. If you're the last team in the field, you don't get to be picky about where you go.
You just get the selection and you go.
If Tennessee State didn't want to go to Montana, you know what they should have done? Won their conference outright. Not had a 4-way tie. Beat Tennessee Tech and not lose at home week 4. There's this, like, to me, like, that's the thing. And Crawford Avenue, I do want to point out, man, I love Crawford Avenue, man. Shout out to him. He's been great. Big Alabama State fan. It's not the whole fan base. There's just a group of people on social media that will not be quiet about the FCS playoffs and the Bama State in the top 25. We just got to add context to the conversation, because a lot of the times when me and Coach talk about that, you think Bama State with 71 wins right now should be in the playoffs. Who are you removing? Tell me who you're removing, and don't just say all the 4-win teams, because some of those 4-win teams will put up a lot of points on you. in a one-on-one matchup. I don't know if you really understand what four loss teams you're talking about. But coach, you have to this year. I think 8 wins is the mark to get in. Bama State will have their eighth D1 win this weekend. There would be a conversation to have them in, but I would hate to see them cancel the Turkey Day Classic, which they're not going to do anyway. So this conversation is pointless at the end of the day. I don't know why people are starting it, but what would happen if they canceled it, coach? Missed out on, was it 500K, $1 million revenue they get from Turkey Day Classic, and they are at the house the next weekend.
And we had this a couple years ago, and like you said, we could end it with FAM, and they had to make that track to southeastern Louisiana. They did get in, but it was what kind of big?
Yeah, at large.
At large. So you don't get to pick where you want to go.
And they went to southeastern Louisiana, which isn't that far, and got beat. It was 38-0 before they benched their starters.
Yeah. So again,
which was the same core for FAMU that won the Celebration Bowl the next year. I just want to put that out there.
But again, the other FCS teams have all stated, the ones that I know, coaches that I know, they wish they had an opportunity for a bowl game such as the Celebration Bowl. They wish they had that opportunity.
There's one in the works, quietly kept. Not going to name the conferences. There's one in the works.
So, let's take it and run with it and be good at it. If Bama State goes up there and they get in the end zone from 1 yard out, are we still having this conversation? Do they still not want to go to the Celebration Bowl and go to the playoffs?
No.
Or where are we at? You know what I mean? So again, we go up the street and we beat these people up there. Are you going to say, no, you don't want to go to the Celebration Bowl because you're still wanting to go to the playoffs? So we have to be, somewhat, we have to live in reality when we talk about those things, for real.
I just want to say this to wrap it all up. The Celebration Bowl is amazing. We should have it. And the two best HBCU teams should go to that. We also should have the FCS playoffs to crown a real national champion. There's room for both here. And it never has to be a clashing thing. And I just
a lot of teams out there to play football. A lot of teams out there to play football.
Again, and I'm asking, please, can we dead the Celebration Bowl FCS playoffs debate? It's not a debate. They both serve their purpose in different ways, and it fits different institutions differently. We'll leave it at that. But, Coach, appreciate you, man. I know you got a big game this weekend. We got to get you out of here for your meeting. Guys, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff. Me and Coach will be back next week. And listen, we're going to be a little bit more consistent in the offseason. We're going to be talking recruiting. I got some ideas for all-season content, man, so stay tuned for that. But for Coach Leroy Frederick, myself, the Bluebloods, FCS Football Central on SI, we are out for right now.